So I normally go first, but I'm going to let Councilmember Katz go first this year. I think it's nice to kind of switch it up as I'm about to leave. So Councilmember Katz, we'll start you off.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rice. It's truly a pleasure to be here with you and Karma Beal, or you?
She's virtual.
She's virtual, okay. And to be with Ms. Beal from the DAR Goshen Mills chapter. It's really truly a pleasure to present this proclamation. It obviously recognizes Constitution Week, which recognizes the adoption of the Constitution itself. It's appropriate that the DAR is with us because in 1955, the Daughters of the American Revolution petitioned Congress to set aside September 17th through the 23rd annually to be dedicated for the observance of Constitution Week. Some of us remember 1955. The U.S. Constitution is at the foundation of every single law, and of course we all know this, but it's at the foundation of every single law in America. And it's at the heart, literally, of how we think, act, and govern as Americans. The Constitution established America's national government and fundamental laws and guaranteed certain basic rights for its citizens. Since 1952, the Constitution has been on display in the National Archives building in Washington, with there again, it's 4 pages there, displayed behind protective glass framed by titanium. I believe it's now 17 pages total. I believe I'm right on that. But what's there is 4 pages. If you have not yet done so, we all urge everyone to visit the National Archives to see the actual Constitution. We shouldn't take it for granted. It is there, as well as the DAR Constitution Hall. Happy Constitution Week. And with that, I'm going to turn it to my friend.
Well, thank you very much, Councilmember Katz. And, you know, it's appropriate that we actually had the bullying prevention month proclamation before this one, because we are talking about inalienable rights that our forefathers thought would be there to protect us as a society and make sure that we had the opportunity to be the best place for folks to exact their freedoms. And so from that perspective, it really is one where the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness are all things that I think should be afforded to every single member of our community. We currently see that some of those rights are under assail as we speak. We're turning back the hands of time in terms of advancing the rights of our citizens and the freedoms of our citizens when it comes to ensuring that they can live out their lives in peace, in support, and in health. And so from that standpoint, I just want to implore us to think about what our Constitution means for us, understanding that the Constitution itself is one that is a document that was a framework of ideology, but it represents something more than that for us as a people and as a humanity. We need to make sure that we are finding ways to come together, to lift each other up, to not separate one another, to ensure that we're focused on the success of our nation as a whole, which means we need to be focused on the success of each and every individual. The reality is that each person in this United States of America represents a fabric, a piece of that, a thread of that fabric that is there. Everyone knows when you have a loose thread, what happens, unfortunately, to that fabric. And so every single person is important. There is not a single person who is not important to holding this society together. So I hope that people hear that and understand that, because when it comes to us trying to ensure that the United States of America is one of the strongest nations that serves as an example to other nations of how to continue to support its residents and keep them lifted up, we have to do this. We have to value one another. And so I really want to thank Karma Beal, who's with us today. She is a member of the Goshen Mills chapter, which held its of the DAR, which held its organizing meeting back in June of 1977. And so Karma, as many of you know who have seen this presentation, has been a part of this for so long. And I really want to thank the Daughters of the American Revolution for continuing to help remind us of why our Constitution is so important. And so with that, let me turn it over to Ms. Beal.
Thank you very much, Councilman Rice and Councilman Katz. I try to look at the Constitution in a different way each year when I present a short program to our chapter. And this year, I thought it would be particularly appropriate to look at naturalization for our immigrants who want to become American citizens. And there is a pocket study guide that you can download from the internet, and it has 100 questions in it that are picked from on your naturalization test. And the first 3 questions have to do with the Constitution. The first being, what is the supreme law of the land? It's our Constitution. What does the Constitution do? It sets up the government, it defines the government, and it protects the basic rights of Americans. The third question is the idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. And what are these words? And we all know them. We, the people, with the emphasis on we. So everyone should think about that. Everyone should look at these questions and see if you can answer them yourselves, because the immigrants, the people who want to become Americans, have to know the answers to all of these 100 questions. Do you know the answer to all of these questions? And that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Beal, and certainly one that reflects, again, when you have great things, you oftentimes want to share them. You shouldn't want to keep them just to yourself. It is truly the ideology of this country in terms of us ensuring that democracy, as we look at what's happening in Ukraine, continues to spread across this world. It's what we believe in as a nation, and so we should be doing the same thing right here in our own country. So with that, we will read the proclamation together. I'll start off. Whereas the Constitution of the United States embodies the ideas and principles of our founding fathers, supplemented by the wisdom that has reflected in our dynamic republic over 2 centuries, and
Whereas this fall marks the 235th anniversary of the framing of our Constitution by the 1786 Constitutional Convention, and whereas the Constitution not only embodies the hopes and aspirations of Americans for liberty and representative government, but also continues to inspire people seeking freedom the world over.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby recognizes the 235th anniversary of the United States Constitution and urges constant vigilance of county residents in protecting our liberties and rights for generations of Americans still to come. Presented this 4th day of October in the year 2022, signed by myself and Councilmember Katz. Thank you so much, Ms. Beal. We'll make sure we send this to you.
Okay, thank you.